is the original equator, with Aydin as the northern hemisphere and Abzu as the southern hemisphere. This is the original north, and this is the original south. This did not always look like this. It was a vast sea full of tropical islands before it drained out, allowing for maritime travel. This was the original city layout of the Anunnaki before the flood. They themselves were mining in the western mountains of Saudi Arabia and bringing the ore to Bad Tabira to be smelted and refined before taking the refined bullion to their original landing and launch facility at Baalbek, Lebanon to be delivered. Then after their own workers mutinied because of the working conditions of Earth, they made us as a hybrid and started an industrial-scale mining operation in southeastern Africa, northwestern Africa, and continued mining in the western mountains of Saudi Arabia, all below the Abzu line, and taking their ore to their home base in the Aydin. They would of course take it to Bad Tabira to be smelted and refined, and their bullion was then taken to their newer, closer launch facility in Zimbir to be delivered directly. Then after the flood struck, their original city layout was completely destroyed, and the only thing that remained intact, though badly damaged, was their original landing and launch platform at Baalbek. At this point they restarted and built their new home base at the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, their processing facilities in Egypt, started mining the Giza Plateau, continued to mine in western Saudi Arabia and Mauritania, then delivering the refined bullion from their new launch facility in the 4th region. The Anunnaki leaders divided up the land amongst their siblings, creating 4 regions. The first region, stretching from Eastern Europe to Iran to Saudi Arabia, encompassed the Black and Caspian Seas, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, and the Persian Gulf. The second region, stretching from Egypt and Sudan to Morocco and Mauritania, encompassed the Nile River and the Saharan Sea. The third region, stretching from Afghanistan underneath of the Tibetan Plateau, through India to Vietnam and Singapore. And the sacred 4th region, encompassing Lebanon, Israel, and the Sinai Peninsula, barred access from Earthlings and non-royal Anunnaki, such as the Agigi. It appears they completely abandoned the southeastern Africa mines and temporarily continued to mine in Mauritania before the Saharan Sea drained out. Then fighting amongst themselves, they destroyed their processing facilities in Egypt and their launch facility in the Sinai Peninsula, as well as a few casualty cities surrounding it, poisoning Sumer with radioactive fallout. By now they were completely familiar with the territory stretching from Mexico to Peru, and permanently moved their base of operations to Peru before leaving for good. But for the time being, let's check out one of the most fascinating aspects of this whole ordeal. What you are witnessing is massive, neighborhood-sized, stonewall mining camp habitations with a plethora of kilns and furnaces meant to break down metals from the ore in a rough form to be transported to Bad Tabira for further smelting and refining before being delivered. The mining camps are always targeting specific mineral-rich bands of mountains and seem to ignore surrounding mountain ranges that don't have an abundant cache. They are also always associated with these deep mining rut trenches, where they were not only mining for gold and silver, but also all of the other rare exotic metals and minerals, precious and semi-precious, including diamond. They are often built on the inclines with basins for placer mining, utilizing all elevations of the mountains and cliffs they were excavating. And what's really cool is that in Mauritania and Saudi Arabia, you can really see the colorful mineral and chemical runoff and the varying mineral veins and stratum. Most places in South Africa are completely overgrown because of the climate, and nowadays there's a vast stretch of them that have been completely built over by the cities and modern mining companies. These mining camps were operating on an industrial scale. People live their entire lives at these places from birth until death for a couple 100,000 years, knowing nothing but mining. They were taught what to look for, how to find it, how to roughly extract it, and get it ready for transport for the Anunnaki, who had designated managers and chief mining operators over the districts. They lived, they laughed, they loved, they played, they worked, they cooked, they ate, they drank, they sang, and they danced, all under the sun, moon, and stars right here. Lifetimes, right here, mining the food of the gods. The people in question? The primitive us in the genus Homo, like Cro-Magnon, Sapiens, Neanderthalis, and Heidelbergensis. These were the hybrid workers created from crossing the Anunnaki's missing link with Erectus, Habilis, Ergaster, and the Australopithecines. We modern humans are Sapiens sapiens, a one-third genetic mixture with varying degrees of Cro-Magnon, Sapiens, Neanderthalis, and Heidelbergensis, plus a two-thirds genetic mixture of several generations intermingled with royal and non-royal lineages of Anunnaki. All of us on Earth, no matter what we look like different families of them, because we literally are two-thirds Anunnaki ourselves. here's something that really caught my eye. And it's these. At first I didn't really pay attention to these. They're often referred to as runways, and who can blame you because look at them. They look like runways. But that didn't really fly with me. And that's not to say I don't think they were capable of flight. I just don't think that's what these were. And far too often, docuseries only focus on the geoglyphs and not this vast swath of 1.5 feet deep excavated material. I know there had to be something more to it than simple causeways or primitive runways. And the more I dug, the more I found. I hope it's starting to make sense of what these are. These are mining ruts from some sort of excavating machine with an expanding plow. They would take this excavated material from Nazca to the megalithic sites near Cusco, where the ore was smelted and refined and taken to Pumapunku in Bolivia, where it was delivered.